She left me for her boss. Now she wants me back. My wife left me after 2 decades. She chose her boss over me. My stepdaughter even said he could give them a better life. I gave up everything for them. Now that he's out of the picture, they've come knocking. But I didn't look back. I walked away. Hi, Reddit. I've been holding this story in for a while. My name's Plus. I was married Cassandra for 3 years. It wasn't some picture-perfect romance, but I believed in what we had. We met at a local fundraiser. She was volunteering, all warmth and charisma. Her laugh pulled me in, but what really hooked me was the way she juggled raising her teenage daughter while still giving her time and heart to other people. I admired her strength. Maybe that's why I turned a blind eye to the warning signs. Marrying Cassandra didn't just mean becoming a husband. It meant stepping into the role of a father. Her daughter Leia was 14, distant and guarded. It took time, but I showed up. I drove her to school, cheered her on at volleyball games, helped her through algebra at midnight. Eventually, she started calling me Dad. That word meant everything to me. I wore it like a badge of honor. I thought we were a real family. But love, genuine love, doesn't stand a chance when greed comes dressed in opportunity. Cassandra worked as an executive assistant at a tech company. Her boss, Gavin, was the type of man who turns heads. Charming, loaded, always dressed like a runway model. Meanwhile, I was just a middle school teacher. Not poor, not flashy. I offered stability, not adventure. Then things started to shift. Her style changed. Sleek dresses, expensive handbags. She stayed out late, saying she was helping Gavin prepare for high-stakes investor meetings. She laughed less at my jokes. The midday text stopped, and Leia, once full of life around me, became cold and distant. Then came that Friday night. She sat across from me at the kitchen table. No tears, no emotion. "I'm moving out," she said, her voice flat. "I'm with Gavin now." I remember the mug falling from my hand, crashing to the floor. The sound of it shattering echoed through the silence. "You're what?" I asked. "It's better this way. Gavin can give me and Leia a better future." Just like that, 3 years of my life disappeared in a blink. Leia stood behind her, arms folded. Her eyes were empty. "You've been okay," she said, "but Gavin's on another level. Mom deserves more. We both do." That night, I packed 2 bags and walked out of the home I had helped build. I couldn't breathe in those rooms anymore. I didn't contest the divorce. I let Cassandra keep the furniture, didn't fight over the car. I signed the papers quietly. No alimony. Gavin had it covered. I ended up in a small, musty apartment near the school where I worked. It smelled of dust, old carpet, and lost dreams. But here's the thing. Sometimes pain is the best teacher. I poured myself into work, picked up extra classes, saved every penny. Therapy helped. So did running at night and journaling until my fingers hurt. Slowly, I began to heal. Eventually, I got promoted to vice principal. Then, in a twist of fate, a small project I started with my brother, an educational software app, took off. Within 3 years, we sold it to a major edtech company for 7 figures. I bought a new home, one with a garden, a quiet office, and walls that felt like mine. I even started dating again, cautiously. For years, I heard nothing from Cassandra or Leia. Then last fall it began. A friend request. A message. "Hey, it's been a while. Can we meet for coffee?" I didn't respond. Then came an email, a voicemail, and then a message from Leia. I was young and dumb. I miss having a real dad. Still, I ignored them until the day Cassandra appeared at my school. She stood near the front desk like any parent waiting for a pickup. She looked older, worn down, her designer wardrobe replaced with plain clothes. Her eyes had lines I didn't remember. "Gavin left," she said. "He's broke. He drained everything and disappeared. Turns out he was hiding massive debt. We lost the condo. Leia dropped out of college. We're living with my sister." I stood there, arms crossed, heart calm. "We made a mistake," she said. "I really believe Gavin was the answer. He used us. I shouldn't have left you." She reached for my hand. I took a step back. I gave you everything. I said, my love, my loyalty. I was there for your daughter when her own father vanished, and you both threw me away. I know, she whispered, but maybe we could try again, even as friends. I looked her in the eyes. Maybe she was sincere. Maybe not. Didn't matter. I've moved on, Cassandra, I said. You chase a fantasy. And now that it's gone, you're looking for shelter. I'm not your safe place anymore. She opened her mouth to speak, but I was already walking away. That night, I got one final message from Leah. I thought money was everything. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Some people only realize your worth after they've sold you out. That doesn't mean you have to open the door when they come crawling back. Not every story needs a second chapter. Sometimes, walking away isn't just the right move. It's the only one. 2 weeks later, things went quiet again. Then came a pale blue envelope in my mailbox. The handwriting was instantly familiar. It was from Leah, a 4-page handwritten letter. It started with regret, but slid into guilt-tripping. I was stupid. I thought Gavin's money made him a better man. But he hurt Mom, physically. When the money dried up, he bailed. You were the only real father I ever had. I treated you like trash. But maybe you can still help us. You always fix things. I read it twice. It felt real, but it also reeked of desperation. They didn't want me. They wanted safety. A lifeline. I shredded the letter. But Cassandra wasn't finished. She came to my house next. It was a rainy Friday night. I heard the knock, opened the door. She stood on my porch, soaked, mascara running, a bottle of wine clutched in one hand. Please, she said, just 5 minutes. I have nowhere else. I let her in, not out of hope but closure. She sat trembling on my couch. I lied, she admitted, about everything. I didn't fall in love with Gavin after we split. I started sleeping with him before I left. I told Leah so she'd side with me. I justified it by telling myself you'd be okay. I didn't say a word. But Gavin never loved me, she whispered. I was convenient. When his company collapsed, he dumped me for an investor's daughter. Now Leah won't even look at me. She blames me for it all. I exhaled deeply. Why are you here? I want a second chance, she said, eyes glossy. You already had it, I said. The moment I stepped up and raised your child as my own, that was your chance. And you lit it on fire. I made a mistake. No, I said coldly. You made a decision. You didn't just cheat. You orchestrated my exit. You manipulated your daughter to chase a fantasy. Now that it's gone up in smoke, you want to crawl back to the ashes? She collapsed into sobs. Then came the last dagger. I'm pregnant, she whispered. I stared at her, stunned. What? I asked, though I'd heard her clearly. She looked away. Right before Gavin walked out, we weren't being cautious. I didn't find out until a few weeks ago. He has no idea. He blocked me everywhere. I've got no job, no health coverage, and I'm terrified. The room tilted for a second. I felt a twinge of sympathy, but not enough to repeat the mistakes of the past. I'm not here to save you, I said calmly. I was your anchor once. You cut yourself loose. Now you deal with the current on your own. I opened the front door. She didn't try to fight. No words, no tears this time. Just a hollow look in silence as she stepped back into the rain. I assumed that was a final chapter, until Leah showed up. She walked into my office like she owned the place. Older now, 20, but colder, sharper. But the look in her eyes was familiar. The same look she used to get when she wanted something. I want to live with you, she said, no hesitation. Mom's falling apart. I can't stay there anymore. You were the only real parent I had. I leaned back in my chair, eyeing her. Do you remember what you told me before you left? She shifted, avoided my gaze. You backed your mother, told me Gavin could give you both a better life. I continued. You didn't just leave. You twisted the knife. Made sure I knew I didn't matter. Her eyes snapped back to mine, defensive. So what? I was a kid. People mess up. You're seriously going to hold that over my head forever? I stood up slowly. Calm. Certain. No, I said, I'm just finally accepting the truth I refused to see for years. She narrowed her eyes. What's that supposed to mean? That I was never your father. I just played the part when it was convenient. She blinked, as if I'd slapped her. You don't mean that. I do, I said without hesitation. And now you need a place to stay, but I'm not a safety net. I'm not a spare key for burned bridges. You made your choices, Leah. Now you live with them. She turned and stormed out. That night, I poured a drink and looked out over the city skyline. For the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not revenge. Not triumph. Just the weight finally lifting off my shoulders. I had stopped taking responsibility for other people's disasters. Some betrayals go so deep, there's no stitching the wound shut. But sometimes those scars make you smarter, clearer. I gave my all to people who valued wealth over loyalty. When the money disappeared, they remembered me, but I had already learned to forget them. 3 months passed. I thought the storm had passed. I was wrong. A thick yellow envelope arrived, marked legal notice, family court. Inside, a lawsuit. Cassandra was taking me to court. She wanted spousal support and retroactive compensation for what she called step-parent abandonment. The same woman who dumped me for her wealthy boss, who told me I was enough. Now she was demanding monthly payments because she was jobless, pregnant, and had become accustomed to a standard of living I once helped provide. She listed everything. The mortgage I used to cover, the car I leased in her name, my emotional role in Leah's life, and, unbelievably, a claim that my recent windfall from the app sale should be shared because she emotionally supported my teaching career during our short marriage. I laughed. Then I called my lawyer, Angela Ruiz, sharp as a scalpel, no patience for drama. She skimmed the claim, leaned back, and smirked. Oh, they really thought you fold. We filed for immediate dismissal with prejudice. Then we pulled every document, every receipt, every thread of proof. The court date came quickly. Cassandra entered the courtroom in a modest outfit, cradling her pregnancy like a prop. Her lawyer looked like someone who binge-watched legal dramas and copied their moves. Cheap suit, slick hair, too much theatrical flair. He started with emotion. Mr. Carter abandoned his family. Wealth doesn't erase moral duty. He has a responsibility to continue supporting the household he left behind. Love can't be turned off like a switch. Financial support is an ethical obligation. I nearly spit out my water. Angela rose. Calm. Surgical. She handed the judge a binder, neatly tabbed, color-coded, packed with timelines and signed correspondence. Inside, emails from Cassandra admitting the affair. Bank records showing I still cover expenses after she moved out. A clear timeline. She had moved in with Gavin 2 weeks before I was even served papers. And, most importantly, a prenup voluntarily signed, waiving any claim to future earnings or alimony. Then she brought out the knockout punch. Your Honor, Angela said, my client was forced out of the lives of Cassandra and her daughter by their decision. Now that Gavin's out of the picture, they want to rewrite history, framing my client's kindness as obligation. We have audio, messages, and sworn testimony confirming they excluded him, not the other way around. She slid a flash drive forward. Exhibit D. The speakers crackled to life. Leah's voice, taken from an old video she had posted online. My mom deserves more than a broke teacher. Gavin's not just richer. He's smarter, hotter, and actually going places. We're upgrading. Silence. The courtroom was frozen. The judge leaned forward, his face unreadable. I've seen some desperate cases in my time, he said. But this is brazen. Cassandra's lawyer turned pale. She wouldn't lift her head. The judge kept going. Mrs. Carter, you left your husband. You began another relationship willingly. There's no evidence of coercion or abuse. In fact, Mr. Carter's records show he continued to provide support even after you left. He turned another page. And now you're asking for financial support because the choices you made didn't work out? Request denied. Case dismissed. With prejudice. He paused. And let this serve as notice. If you attempt to reopen this case, it may be deemed harassment. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just nodded, stood up, and walked out, free. Outside the courtroom, Leah was waiting, arms folded, face tense. You really couldn't help us? Not even now. I turned to her, my voice firm, quiet. I did help you. For 3 years, I gave everything I had. I treated you like my own, but you both made your choices. This is just reality catching up. Then Cassandra stepped out behind her, looking worn down, her face hollow. You won't even help with the baby? She asked. I glanced at her stomach, then looked her in the eye. That child is a father. Just not me. Best of luck. Then I turned and walked away. For the last time. Epilogue. 6 months later, I moved to Denver for a new role, Director of Academic Innovation at a national nonprofit. I bought a house, adopted a dog, and met someone new, someone who didn't judge me by my income or status. As for Cassandra, she gave birth and moved in with her mother. Gavin disappeared completely. Leah dropped out of college. She tried reaching out again. I left the message unread. Because some doors, they don't just close. They lock forever.